Fortunately, there were
What's
some.
up, everybody? How are you? This is Real Talk Chronicles, and I'm your host, Bill Forster. This is a special evening for me today because we're going to have all of the hosts of the Real Talk Chronicles with us today. But also, it's also a special evening because I have somebody very special to me that's in the building tonight, and she is my cousin, my first cousin, not 19th
Hello.
cousin, not cousin from another somebody. This is the first cousin. Our parents are brothers and sisters, and may they watch us from above. And she's a world-renowned doctor, and I'm proud to say that I can brag about her because it's true, and she's my cousin. With that being said, and saying all that, you may have seen her on Oprah, Steve Harvey. She has countless years in the medical field, and she will tell you about her own background. I can brag about it as much as I want, but uh, this is real talk, so we'll let her say that in her own right. But she's here to give us some insight in covert in COVID. Excuse me, I'm thinking about police work and COVID. Um, Also, the Delta variant, and also about vaccinating kids and children because she is a pediatrician and she's been doing that for a long time. So, everybody out there, if you have questions, please write them in so we can ask her because her time is very precious and because I'm family, she did this for me. And also, she has a radio show, and we'll let her tell you all about that. But first and foremost, everybody, if you like it, share it. If you're on YouTube, subscribe to it. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dr. Marilyn Corder, McPherson Corder.
Thank you. Thank you. First of all, it's always a pleasure to be on my cousin's program. It's an honor, actually. Yes,
Thank
I
you.
am a pediatrician. I'm here. I apologize for the noise in the background. I'm here at the convention center here in Washington, D.C. at an event. But when he asked me to be on, I'm like, of course, no matter where I am, I will be on. I feel like over the past 6 months, I have been talking and talking about COVID. I've been on several news shows as well as a few radio shows, and of course, on this show. And as a pediatrician for the past 44 years, my goodness, time is running. Um, I am a doctor. I am also a professor adjunct at Howard University College of Medicine and GW. So I train and teach as much as I can for nurses, nurse practitioners, and doctors, interns, and residents. I also want to know and let you know that, it's all about conversation. It's all about educating. So many people
We lost you.
We lost the connection.
make things as clear as possible because doctors will get into the I call it the doctor talk, and people don't understand. And I think that the more that you understand what's going on, especially throughout this pandemic, the safer you will be, as well as others, your loved ones. So where do I start? So of course we know this is about 18 months in or 15 months in, however way you want to date it. It's been here since January of 2020. I'm talking about coronavirus. And of course, we didn't know about it until much later, come March, and then the rest is history in terms of how it took off and just exploded, with 500,000 people dying and millions of folks who are still suffering from the COVID long haul. And we call it that because we don't even know, as we're studying through the National Medical Association, a few other organizations that I'm a part of, we don't have any idea of what it has done and down the road continue to do to our bodies once we've had COVID-19. Now, we talk about how it affects your nasal passages, your throat, etc. And I've been on a couple of shows with you, Bill, that we had a few of your friends who actually had were COVID positive with symptoms, etc. And
Yes.
afterwards, they're fatigued and they have problems with their and able to walk up steps, and their their fitness is just not the same. But we
Mhm.
also know that it causes blood clots. We call it thrombolytic syndrome, meaning it makes blood clots, that COVID, because of the inflammation in heart and lungs, etc. So fast forward, we have a vaccine, and we've had this vaccine since December. It started with the Pfizer. I was one of the first ones to get the Pfizer as chief of staff at one of the hospitals. We front line, and all of my team, all of my 300 doctors got their shot as well. So we had the Pfizer, and 3 weeks later, you have one dose and you have another dose. And I know all of you know this, but that's what we call the mRNA, the messenger RNA. And the messenger RNA is somewhat of a new vaccine, but it's really not a new vaccine. When I say that, we don't see a lot of vaccines with messenger RNA, but we know about it, as well as we've used it to protect. And it was a woman of color, Dr. Colbert, who was from University of Maryland and then University of North Carolina, who discovered the messenger RNA vaccine, as we know it, as the vaccine, COVID vaccine. So we now have three. We have Moderna, and we also have Johnson & Johnson, the one and done. Now that there are up to 70% of adults who have gotten their first dose, and about 50 to 60% of adults who have gotten their second dose, the stats back in May was showing that 20 to 30% of new positive COVID was in children, and children being less than 18 years old. And then it began to continue. Now, we have had hundreds of children who have died from COVID nationally. We're not talking India, we're not talking different places, we're talking here in the United States. And we've had many, many thousands of children, if not a million or so. They're saying now it's 5.6 million children who have been positive for COVID. But the funny thing about COVID and minors and children is that it's usually asymptomatic. That means no symptoms at all, or it's different symptoms, mostly gastroenterology, GI problems. Your stomach hurts, you're vomiting, etc. But guess what? That looks like the regular flu, or that looks like gastroenteritis in general. So it's often missed. And what we have begun to see here in DC at Children's Hospital, that these one-time positive children who are no longer positive, because after a few weeks, you're not positive anymore, but they're beginning to suffer from something called multi-inflammatory system disease. And we abbreviate it as MISD, multi-inflammatory system. So what does that mean? It causes inflammation of all of your systems. The main thing we fear about the MISD from the COVID is what it does to the heart. And what it does to the heart, it can inflame it and cause something called, this is a big word, Kawasaki type of a condition, meaning that it can inflame your heart and your aorta and can be deadly. So mostly you get a rash, you're fatigued, but if you don't get to the hospital, sometimes fever, sometimes not. But if you don't get to the hospital in time, then your cardiovascular system will explode. I mean, it ruptures. So that's why we began to say, wait a minute, these children are being affected. This is a different type. And we're seeing again the 20 to 30%. But let's look at what's going on. Things have begun to open up. I know in our area, June 11th, they opened up. And as they opened up, that means adolescents and kids. We're talking camp. We're talking, amusement parks. We're talking daycare. We're talking close proximity. And we're still seeing COVID. But now what we're seeing is Delta. Now, Delta is the fourth variant. We had the Alpha. We had the other variants. And the first variant, the Alpha variant of coronavirus 19, the first one was about 30% more aggressive than COVID-19. But listen to this. The Delta is about 70% more aggressive than the Alpha. Wow. And when it hits you, it hits you. And it's not just going through the nasopharyngeal. It attacks aggressively. So when Dr. Fauci was talking about it about 6 weeks ago, he said, listen, this Delta, we think, and we're beginning to see proof that we do have vaccination. The vaccination does protect us to some extent. All right. But those people who get Delta, who are non-vaccinated, now, if you don't hear anything, hear this. The folks who don't have vaccination at all, be it the first one and or the second one, are more at risk.
Lost the connection.
We lost you. We lost you, Doc.
They have hospitalization going on to the point they're going from emergency room to the ICU.
Doc.
Can you hear me?
Repeat what you just said when you said.
I'll come in. I won't. So
about the vaccination. People who haven't got vaccinated at all.
Okay, yeah. So the Delta is really wreaking havoc on those individuals who are not vaccinated. 99.9% of those individuals who have either died or been in the ICU are the unvaccinated population. And you will hear, as we are seeing areas, localities that are minimally vaccinated, like 10 to 20%. Yeah, we have some groups, that they're just not getting vaccinated. That's where you're seeing the major spread and the surge of the hospitalization. And we're back to ground zero. We're, the frontliners. I mean, all of a sudden, we're pulling out the respirators. We're looking at the deaths. We're pulling out the body bags. And it's from the Delta. So don't blink on Delta because, like I said, with coronavirus, COVID-19, you can get sick. You may have a few days with fever. Wow, I may have coronavirus, may have COVID-19. Now with Delta, you better know if you have any symptoms that are suggestive of Delta or COVID itself, get checked, get tested, and get cared for. So I'm gonna
hold on for a second,
and then I'm gonna let you ask me questions. So now we're talking 12-year-olds and above. The EUA, the Emergency Use Authorization, has now extended the Pfizer vaccination for children 12 and above. And that has been since May, because again, we started to see a larger percent, up to 30% of individuals COVID positive in children and teenagers. And we know how teenagers, they don't respect the social distance, never have, and they like to share everything. So we're beginning to see that. So I'm going to stop talking to see if anybody has any questions.
Oh, well, first, let me just welcome some more of the Real Talk family. We have Chuck Richards in the building. We have Allison. And, of course, we have my lovely wife, Malika. So listen, one more person, Al. I think Al Taylor's running a little late. He's texted me. So tonight we have Dr. Marilyn Corder breaking it down as everybody out there in Real Talk world is hearing everything that she's saying, and she's keeping it real. So we're gonna open it up for questions, but we're gonna tell anybody that if you have questions, especially on the panel, and have questions, ask your question, give a chance to rebuttal, and then if you want to follow up, please do so. But remember, we're dealing with time restraints because the doctor is in transit. So what do we have? We have the first question.
Just one. So Stefania wanted to know, the people who are not vaccinated, do they pose a threat to the people who are already vaccinated?
That's on just the first. So they came out, what is this? This is July, about first week in June, and said if you're completely vaccinated, you no longer have to wear your mask. Because you're vaccinated. And then, we have these cards. Some people have fake cards that they're vaccinated, which that's right. But anyway, so the real deal was we didn't have to wear the mask, especially if you're outside. Well, the latest is, and this is how I'm going to go back to your question, the question that you proposed, that you said, Malika. So the people who are not vaccinated, they don't give us when I say us vaccinated folks, they're not giving me a risk, but I need to mask on behalf of them, because you can still get Delta 8, you as a vaccinated person. However, if I'm vaccinated and I get Delta 8, I got my defenses already built up, However, that person who's non-vaccinated, who's unvaccinated, is at risk from getting it to me. So I'm not only protecting myself, but I'm protecting the community. So I'm wearing the mask, even if they're not, okay? Because some of them are not, because it's now, they want to get out and everybody's got that COVID fatigue. But no, we're wearing the mask for their sake versus someone who's not vaccinated, who gets it, lo and behold, and stay alive. They would be more at risk from getting it from other people versus giving it to those that are vaccinated.
One more. I know she has one more question, but Doc, let me ask you a question. On the percentile, if you do know or estimate, you can estimate how many people of color, because I have a lot of friends, a lot of people that I know of color that are not trying to get vaccinated. They trying to be, and I tease them and I say they're trying to be super woke, and they're trying to talk about, they're not going to do this. It's the man, it's the system, and whether if they're right or not, but everybody here who is of age got vaccinated to go to school when we were kids.
Right.
And like Allison said before, she said people have put stuff in their system unknown what it was back at any given time of their lives. And now you're worried about what the government is saying. So, I mean, if you can, is there a breakdown of people of color that are not doing it? And
so we're now still seeing in the total population of Black and brown, we're not seeing more than 40%. Some places are 30%. And I've heard some areas 9%. And, I'm very sensitive to why they're somewhat skeptical because of the history in terms of Tuskegee, Henrietta Lacks, and just in general, non-trusting. Because disproportionately, we've been the sickest, but yet we've had the poor outcome for various reasons. And you'll have folks don't even want to put on their driver's license that they're organ donor because they feel, well, then they're going to get killed sooner because they need their liver or their kidneys, etc. Okay?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So, but going back to your question about the percentage, it's low, and we're just trying to get the word out, us physicians of color, to say, go ahead and get vaccinated because COVID-19, Delta and all, they don't know any color. They don't discriminate. But unfortunately, many folks who are African-American, who are Black, have problems with diabetes and hypertension and immune system problems, and they're not getting vaccinated. And the social economics, in terms of the social determinants, where there may be close quarters in housing, working in areas that are service areas, grocery stores, front line, and are more susceptible to get.
Oh, we lost you, Doc.
I lost the audio.
We lost you, Doc. Everybody, until we get okay, we got it back.
Okay, the more susceptible, to get the virus, the people of color, and they're more at risk for becoming very ill to even dying disproportionately at risk. So it's like a perfect storm, but we're still in it. It's beginning to go up in some areas. So.
Oh, okay. Thank you. We have another question, and I'll ask any of the panel if they have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is actually a statement / question from Tina Horton. She said the reality is the more we open and go back to, quote, normal, the more likely we are to meet COVID-19. The decision people need to make is, do you want to be vaccinated or not? So, I mean, it basically comes down to that.
Yeah. But what's so funny that what the doctor was saying is that even if you've been vaccinated, you still can get, Delta. So, I mean, I think that's an eye-opening experience for all of us. And everybody out there, please, I'm not a doctor. That's why the Real Talk family, we have a doctor here. And, you can ask any question that you want to, because the bottom line is, I don't know. And I'm trying to find out, because as we have seen recently, like you said, once people are starting, you can take down and you can take off the mask and do this and do that. That right now, the city is losing their mind, and there are people out there, Doc, that probably feel that, I didn't get vaccinated, and now nothing happened to me, and now the world is open, but just because the man told me that, the government is all right. So everybody has to follow some kind of structure and order. What is your take on that? So
you have some people, can you hear me?
Yes.
You have some folks who are now looking at me because I'm promoting to get vaccinated. And they're saying, see, it's going down. And I waited for so many other people to get vaccinated. Or they're even saying, well, people who got the vaccination, they're still getting COVID. Yeah, but they're living to tell it. Okay? Yeah, they might be, and their immune system is much higher and stronger because they did get the vaccination. Now, of course, when they come out with this possible need of booster, that doesn't really help, the argument. But, we have boosters for everything from flu, etc. So my writer said, so I say that to say that's not surprising to me, but it's the nation is important. And, we have children. Sorry for motion. Sorry. We have,
that's all right.
We have children who are less than less than 12. And the people are asking me, can I get my child vaccinated? He's 10 years old. Can I get my child vaccinated? He's such and such years old. And not quite the age of 12, but they're afraid because they see what's going on, as we talked about, the multi-inflammatory system effect of COVID. So that's any other questions?
Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles.
Yes. Actually, I have a question, Bill.
Yo, cousin Fred, we said hi. Go ahead. Hold on, Pastor. Go ahead,
Okay.
Malika.
Yeah, just one question about the booster shot. About the booster. So we've recently heard that Pfizer is working on coming out with a third shot, and just wanted to know your thoughts on that, and if you think Moderna and J&J will follow.
Look, my aunt, I don't know. And that concerns me. And what does that mean in terms of how long are we protected from the initial first and second shot of Moderna and Pfizer, and then J&J? So I don't really know yet. My thoughts on that is we need to see more information, more research. Sure, we also need to see, as people who are not vaccinated, like, well, that's my argument. We need to see about, having more research on this vaccine, the emergency use vaccine. But, I understand why they're saying to get the booster, because we're not sure how long the protection lasts. But I feel that there will still be some effects from the messenger RNA, the defense that the first two vaccinations allowed your body to produce in terms of the antibodies.
Well, Pastor, go ahead. I know you have a question.
Yes. I just want to say, before I say anything, thank you so much, Dr. Corder, for your service, and not just to the medical profession, but also for our country, because there are a lot of people who need to hear the truth. They need to hear this information. And I just wanted to ask you, is the Delta variant a mutation of the coronavirus? And if it is, does science foresee other mutations coming from this?
Yes, anything. I'm going to wear my genetics hat. Anytime you have any bacteria as well as viruses, it's part of the natural process, or the next level of generations. You will see variants, and how resistant those variants are, it depends. And it depends on, of course, the spread and the lack of protection, and the more vulnerable the population. So I know that we knew that there was going to be variants and that there was going to be mutation. It's just that to what extent are these mutations occurring, how rapidly they're occurring, as well as how resistant they will be to not only just the vaccine, but also our traditional therapy, which we have medications, antiviral medications for, and other things like IV, and sometimes now with the antibiotics and the vent, the respirator. So, it depends on the level and the degree. And as I said, as these variants are evolving, then we also seeing them becoming more aggressive.
Thank you. Pastor, you have any more questions? And then I just want to welcome to the show the other last member of the Real Talk family, Assemblyman Al Taylor. Assemblyman Al Taylor, this is my cousin, Dr. Marilyn Corder. She won't be with us too long more after. So I'll ask any of the panel, Kevin, Chuck, Allison, do y'all have a question on Al? Do y'all have a question for the doctor? Raise your hand so we can answer. Okay, go ahead, Kev.
Good evening, Doc. And first, thank you very much for being with us and for your service. Question on you mentioned earlier about kids who have gotten sick, who, maybe even asymptomatic and having a problem later on. All of my kids, all four, had it at one point around December. How long should I be worried about the rash and other things showing up with this other problem?
Right. Good question. So most of the literature would say within 30 days. Some people say 2 weeks out beyond the acute phase. Who knew in the acute phase? So you're out of the woods right now in terms of the multi-inflammatory system disease. If you're talking that they actually had it in December. But who knows when that child gets it, who's going to be the child that gets the multi-inflammatory. You're good. And I said, as we know, Kawasaki, as we know, the multi-inflammatory is usually within that 30 days. They say 2 weeks out of the infectivity time is when you will see the presentation of the inflammation.
Thank you very much. You definitely had no idea of that end of this, and I don't think a lot of us as parents do.
Right.
We kind of live in a world where we're not afraid. We keep hearing it doesn't affect our kids, so we don't live in much fear. And I think this needs to be spread a little bit better. Thank you.
And I want to say, and that is what bothered me initially. I'm like, how can it not affect children? I'm a pediatrician. How can it not affect children? And hold on. And so it's like we still got heart and lungs, etc. But I think in the beginning, children, we know they have an immune system that's more heightened because they're infected with everything from daycare, germs, etc. And they just weren't listening. And then one time it was said that that this coronavirus didn't affect Black people. I'm like, what? So everybody's head was in the sand for a while, and there it is. So,
Right.
Yep.
Thank you, Kev. Allison, go ahead. Mm-hmm. Unmute yourself, Allie.
Good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Good to see you.
Good evening.
Doc, it's good to see you back again. I had actually 2 questions. When you speaking of this, I keep hearing you use the word inflammatory. Can you say what it is you're saying? You were going in and out.
Inflammatory condition is called multi-system inflammatory disorder, meaning
And
that
what is? Mm-hmm.
Right. So what coronavirus does, it affects when it gets in your system, it wreaks havoc, and it causes inflammation of various parts of your body, including heart and lungs. And the most significant area that we talk about, there's a rash. You get a rash that looks like allergic reaction hives, but in it stays, and then that's called the capillaries that are being inflamed, like there's little small blood vessels. And then from there, it goes to a higher level or more severe level by inflaming your heart, inflaming your aorta, because it inflames the arteries and veins as well as your other organs. And that's where, your kidneys, things are inflamed. So that's not the beginning of COVID. That's I call it the long haul with children within that 30 days or so. Now, not all children get this. This is not that often, but we started seeing that, and that's when people say, oh, no, children get this, etc.
Well, I can say, now I'm just going to speak for myself. I'm fully vaccinated. I had the Johnson vaccine.
Okay.
I never had, way before we were even told, to stay home and there's a virus or whatever. I can remember one 24-hour period where I was so sick that I didn't understand what was going on, and then it went away. I could have just been a flu. But in my mind, you can't convince me that it wasn't trying to get me, and my immune system was strong enough to fight it off. And then it just didn't. I imagine that people have experienced that. Fast forward to coming through COVID, never catching it, taking the blood draw, the nose swab, everything, got fully vaccinated. But it must have been about a month maybe, I noticed I had a rash on both my arms, only the upper parts of my arm. And it was just like, and then I could feel the bottom part of my arm right here. The skin just felt totally different, but you couldn't see it. It wasn't like a hive.
And that is interesting. That's it. Now, first, I'm gonna interrupt you for one. I'm gonna interrupt because I'm passing Howard University. I got to give a shout out to Howard.
Howard.
Anyway, okay, I'm back. Okay. Gotta give a shout out, especially because of the news that we witnessed from the professor from University of North Carolina coming to Howard. Okay. Anyway, that's a whole nother show for Nicole Hannah Jones and Coach. Okay. But go back. Allie, I'm going back to your question. So, it's interesting about how COVID affects individuals. And it's not the thing with the multi-inflammatory, but we don't know. And I say we don't know because the circulatory system is very vulnerable to COVID with the blood clots, with the swelling, with the bruising, and with the cardiovascular. So interesting. It can cause, and who knows? I mean, the ink is still drying on the pages of what COVID does 6 months out. And now they're saying that it is now going to be the number 2, if not the number 1, comorbidity, because so many millions of people are post-COVID.
Well, all I can say is that it started to go away. It's not quite as odd as it was before. Because I was like, how come my forearms and my legs and my thighs don't have this kind of texture to them? And I thought about it, but I had to keep it moving. My second question, that answered my first question. Did I just hear you say Janetta Cole?
Well, no, Hannah Nicole.
Oh, Hannah Nicole. Okay, because when you say Dr. Janetta Cole, I'm feeling a certain way. That's another show, as you said. Now, the other thing I want to say, I'm going to speak as a layman, and I think most people. When you said, "Oh, did we lose her? We lost her."
Yeah.
We'll get her back. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host. Listen, this is the beautiful thing. We have the host of all Real Talk shows with us today, and this is the beautiful thing. And we ain't gonna have the doctor for much longer, but we got her. And listen, we want y'all to ask the questions, and especially the panel. So if Al or Chuck, you have questions after Allison, we'll give it to the doctor, and then we'll let her go. Go ahead, Allie. Finish your question.
This is real. This is my layman's take on it. I remember when we first started hearing that this thing was coming down the pike, and people would say things like "black people can't catch it," and I'd be like running from those particular black people because I couldn't believe they were saying that out loud. I was thinking they must have had it. Are you serious? Unfortunately, that mindset put a lot of people at risk. You know what I'm saying? If you think about it. But this is my question. If I remember correctly, hearing what the doctors were saying was that COVID was airborne. You could catch it in the air through the particles of spit that come out of your mouth or your nose. It's in the air, right?
Right.
We don't really know what it looks like. We only can see what a drawing looks like. We don't know really. They say it lands on surfaces. It can fall to it might. Now, so if the outside, now that I can take my mask off so freely, if the outside is made of air, what makes me think that it's so safe for me not to have a mask on? Unless I'm really isolated on a hike or running down the street. But if I'm outside and COVID travels in the air, why am I so gung-ho to take my mask off when outside is made of air? That's just me being a layman talking like that. The outside is made of air. That's the last thing I want to be out in the outside with no mask when COVID lives on the air.
Tell them why you're mad, Allie. Tell them why you're mad.
I'm wrapped in bubble wrap when I go outside. I don't care. It ain't over.
So wearing a mask helps. We didn't see flu this year.
Help. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, we didn't see flu.
Why not help yourself?
But who knows? I mean, people are running. And there's studies that they don't need a mask when they're not around folks. But what you're saying is in the air, is a pollutant possibly. You still could get it. So
we don't know why.
I don't know all the answers.
You and sneezes, and then there you have it.
Right.
It doesn't make sense to say that to people and give them a false sense of hope that while you're outside, you don't need it.
Right.
No, it helps. So be helpful to yourself and to everybody else.
But Allie, you said something, and Doc, you said something recently. You said flu. What was the stats on flu? Flu was down a lot, right, this year?
Because we were doing this.
Flu was probably poor flu. Flu didn't get any time on the stage of medicine. We didn't see it. I mean, it was like, okay, The emergency room docs, they're like, "Where's Flu? Flu not even here." Flu was not part of the cast of
Flu
characters.
couldn't get into the party because we had masks on our face.
They couldn't get in. They didn't have the password. It's like they couldn't get in. But that was because we were home. We were home and we had our masks on. So that shows the
And we
effectiveness
were
of
washing
wearing a
our
mask.
hands.
We're tired of wearing the mask.
Should have been
Right,
doing it.
right.
And I know I'm sure Mana was down too. People weren't kissing at all. People were just hugging. They weren't even trying to hug. They were just yapping out. Listen, everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles.
That's right.
Your host with all the hosts tonight. We have Malika. We have Allison. We got Dr. Marilyn Corder. Chuck or Al, Assemblyman. Do any of you have a question for the doctor? Raise your hand. Any one of you?
Well, the only question I have in regards to the very first, Doc, it's a pleasure having you on the panel. It's a pleasure speaking to you, and you're giving us like frontline information that, believe me, this is an eye opener on so many levels. Believe me when I tell you. My question to you is in terms of this Delta variant. It's funny. Are there certain indicators where, let's say, I am walking by somebody and I can tell, oh, you got the cooties? Like, is there something that automatically, like, even if they're not wearing a mask, I can tell right off the bat, oh, no, you got the bug. I ain't messing with you.
Right,
you know what I mean? Because there's cats walking out here that probably because they're on this false sense of security. I mean, they may be infected. They're coughing or whatever the case may be. And now just to sneeze around somebody, it makes everybody nervous, you know? But is there anything that's more of an indicator just in, let's say, out of the norm?
So I was just on a panel with for BNC and Black News State Channel, and we were just talking about that the Delta, you're not going to have a fever like you would or did with COVID-19. You might just have some fatigue and some headache, but if you're sick and it's something different, then you need to get checked. And those who are around you, you need to suspect. I call it universal precaution. If somebody's getting sick and they don't know what's going on and you don't know what's going on, this says no. Assume that it's Delta until proven otherwise.
Wow.
And that's sad because it's like, you're right. I don't know if you got the cooties or not, because it's not going to be a thing that you press like the thermometer and say, oh, it came up red, and that must mean you have this. No. But we now see lots of it around in localities that are low in vaccination. So if I were you, I wouldn't be over in the hood where people are not getting vaccinated saying, no, I'm not going to get back. Because this Delta is like, hey, we're here. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
So I have one last question. Doctor.
Pastor, hold on. Pastor, let Al go. And then back with yours. Go ahead. Al, you have a question?
Hey, Doc. Yeah. Good evening. Thank you so much, Doctor. I appreciate you here. I appreciate what you're doing, not just locally, but nationally, and speaking to us. One of the things I realized as we were giving out PPEs, giving out food at the height of this, when the only any sound you would hear would be the sirens of a police car, it would be that of the fire truck or ambulance, or that dreaded text that you would get. But nevertheless, with the height of that being, I saw countless of our young folks unmasked, unprotected, and thought it was a hoax. Saying that, I still see that, and now we have the Delta bearing down on us. We have paralysis that is the second wave of what's possibly wrong with J&J. What could I say, or how can we go forward as legislators? Because there are mixed messages, and now we're all in the fruit basket together. Mask, unmasked, vaccinated, unvaccinated. Help me to do better.
I know. And it's like, well, what do you say? Is we're swinging to the left and swinging to the right, and now the manufacturer saying get a booster, yet the CDC say you don't need a booster. You know what I say? Number one, protect yourself. Look out for you, and be more cautious than perhaps what folks are saying for a little while longer. You're right. Super spreaders are events, from funerals to weddings to events, everything. And like I said, as of June 11th, things opened up. I'm still cautious. Make sure you have your safety. And And as you know, things have changed. They first said it wouldn't, affect everybody. It wouldn't affect kids, and now we see it does. And it may just affect older people. We now see these 30-year-olds on the vents. So the frustration is that now folks who are non-medical, they're saying we can't trust the medical because they can't get it together and be on one page. And I think that's because they still don't know. And as you don't know, I feel you should err on the side of caution. So this is the time to still be fearful, because as people are more relaxed and super relaxed, like spring break and going to the beach and going to these different events, that again you're going to see, as we now see, the numbers go up. So get vaccinated, Pastor? Hand wash, wear your mask.
Al, if you have another question, go ahead. You good, Al? Go ahead, Pastor.
Yes. How has conspiracy theories clouded the message from the CDC, Doctor?
Majorly. And a lot of people like to listen and pull up the conspiracy, theories. And I think that does more harm. I mean, you want to know what's out there and what's being said, but it has delayed progress. And unfortunately, think about this. Now, we know the past president was saying everything's going to be fine. He said that last year, said 4th of July, everybody's going to be okay. So some of the folks who still follow him still say that COVID is a hoax after all those people died. Okay. So going back, that conspiracy theory only hinders and delays progress. And I'll just leave it at that.
Right. Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. I'm your host with all the hosts tonight, and we have a special guest, Dr. Marilyn Corder. I have one question, and then, Doc, I'm going to let you go because everybody out there that doesn't know, that's my big cousin. And if I don't let her go when she's supposed to go, I'm going to hear it all the time. So listen, we want her to come back. I love her. I see Doris Jean all in you. My question to you, Doc, or from Malika and myself is this going to be something that everybody's going to have to get vaccinated once a year?
I feel so. I feel that those that need, I think it's going to be once a year beyond the medical profession. Okay. So daycare. Wow. And by the way, college campuses, you can't go on campus without a vaccine completion. So it might end up being that they draw antibodies. You may not have to get vaccinated. They might see, like we do sometimes with chickenpox and measles, etc. We draw your blood. We see you have antibodies. If not, you're going to get a booster.
My cousin, that man next to you, Doc, tell him when is he coming back on the show and stop playing.
My chief resident, the other Dr. Corder, but
he's cousin too. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Tell Fred stop playing with me. You know what I'm saying? So, everybody.
I'm not even going to
everybody,
let him go. He's good. He sees the light now. Hey, look, family joke.
As a family joke, everybody. Doctor, how can I hear you on Saturdays? What's your radio station?
Yes. Okay. So you can you hear me on Saturdays, Radio 1. That's Kathy Hughes, Radio 1, every Saturday, 3 to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And that's WOL, 1450 AM on the dial. And then you can see me also, see me on BNC, Black News Channel, as we talk about coronavirus in children. A few times I'll be on that, and I'll just be around as well as Real Talk.
Absolutely. Everybody out there, please, if you want the doctor to come back to give us some updates, give us some hearts. Give the doctor some hearts and some thumbs, everybody.
Absolutely.
Talk to you later. Tell Fred I'll see you later.
All right.
Later on.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.
Be safe. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Everybody, that was my Dr. Marilyn Corder. that was just breaking it down, giving us some knowledge. I'll ask the panel. I'll start with you, sweetheart. What did you think about the information that she gave us? And then I'll go to you, Kev, Pastor, Chuck, Allison, and Al Taylor. What did you think?
I thought it's always incredible information that she gives out, very informative. You know, the thing that struck me the most is, there may be a chance that we have to get the shot every single year. I mean, we're trying to keep our ear to the news still, in addition to saying our prayers, but we barely wanted to do it the first time.
Right.
So, yeah. Just the thought of having to do this yearly, we'll just have to wait and see. That's the bottom line. We'll wait and see, because we want to be safe no matter what. But I'm also thinking, I mean, we were out in the streets yesterday hard.
Cutting up
in Harlem. I mean, we had a great time. We haven't done anything like that in over a year.
But imagine if we didn't get vaccinated. See, being vaccinated is kind of like a security blanket that's making us all feel comfortable. But as the doctor was saying, still, there's people out there, and we know there were people out there that didn't get vaccinated. But the bottom line is we still cleanse ourselves.
Absolutely. And we always use our hand sanitizer, but most importantly, we pray. Like, I didn't say it out loud, but before we actually, and also the people that were in attendance. We can't put 100% faith into medicine. We also have to pray.
We got to give it all to Jesus. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What do you think, Kev? What's your thoughts? Kev?
I'm actually.
Oh, I'm sorry, Granddaddy.
There's two of us. I gotta say goodnight. I gotta say goodnight. I gotta go get my kids.
Yeah, them kids will definitely get it. Kev, thank you. Everybody, I just wanted
appreciate you all. Have a good night.
All to meet all of them. Yes, definitely.
And see everybody Wednesday.
Kev, we'll talk to you later. Yes,
right.
Wednesday.
Good night, all.
Take care, Kev.
Good night. Go ahead, Pastor, and then Chuck, then Allison, and Al. Go ahead.
I enjoyed Dr. Marilyn. I really appreciated her taking time out of her busy schedule to be with us. The information that she shared is very important. And I think we also must realize that the vaccination is not a cure, but it does prevent us from becoming hospitalized or becoming really sick. So coronavirus is here, and now we're dealing with this Delta variant. And as she had touched on, I was just taking some notes as she was talking, that the science is still learning. We're still evolving when it comes to this coronavirus, COVID-19, and watching and keeping an eye on the different mutations. So it does emphasize the importance of getting vaccinated. And again, it's not a cure. It's to merely prevent us from becoming really sick and becoming hospitalized and some cases. But I will continue to carry my hand sanitizer and wear my mask.
Absolutely.
And use wisdom. And as Malika was saying as well, we need to pray and we need to apply wisdom in this very troubling time. I yield back.
Yeah. Chuck?
Well, the main thing which I would have to applaud Kevin, he posed one great question, which he's posed many, but the one that I really felt strongly about was the whole conspiracy theory. I mean, there are a lot of people, unfortunately, of color who are living in these in certain neighborhoods where she said the vaccination rate is like 30, 40%. It's not even where it should be. And despite the amount of deaths, including this variant that's now mutating and it has more damage than corona, this has to be more to be done in order to quell or to rid those conspiracy theories, because we know where it's going to affect. It's going to affect people of color more than anywhere else, right? And we're going to have more deaths in our communities because they don't want to understand that this is something that, yes, it may not prevent you from catching it, but damn, it's a shield, right? It's to help you so that if you do catch anything, you have something that can fight against it. And, that's where unfortunately, we, in terms of those communities, whatever they're being told, and I get them being apprehensive, but if the guy to the right to me and the guy to the left to me, and I'm not trying to make it about Republican or Democratic or white or black, but I'm sorry, when I got a Republican that says it's a hoax, but I know for a fact he's in line with me getting a damn shot, you bet damn well I'm going to get one as well. I mean, it's got to be something to it. All right, he's sitting there giving a conspiracy. He's a Republican. He says, "Oh, it's all a hoax," but he's in line with me getting vaccinated. We got a problem. All right, so I'm just saying. All right, but that being said, I just hope that it's not something, because we lost a lot of brothers and sisters from this last go around with this COVID, and if this variant is as dangerous as she's saying it is, and it's apparent that it is, we're going to lose more of our own community man because of it.
Yeah, and that's so important what you just said, Chuck. Like, the way she broke it down from the alpha and when she broke it down to the delta and talking about the delta is like the big bad monster, Godzilla or King Kong of this stuff. Like that, that was crazy. And that's something that you missed, Al. Doctor was saying how this delta is worse than what's happening right now. 70% worse than what it is right now. So go ahead, Allison, give us your take on it, please.
I think that we got a lot of great information from her, even though I was a tad bit late. But I think that I feel very much the same way as everyone on this panel. We must continue to be vigilant and be cautious and take everything with a grain of salt and just practice the protocol regardless. It's as simple as this. I've always been a half a germaphobe. And I'm always with a little Lysol in the pocketbook and wipes. And Bill can tell you, if you get stuck anywhere under a bridge, on a desert island or whatever, what you want is, if not me, you want my pocketbook. Because whatever you need to is in there. You want me. So I've always been that way. And I can remember I used to get on a bus every once in a while and I'd be wiping the seat down. And I clocked this lady one time and she was sitting across and she was looking at me and her whole expression was like, "I don't know who you think you are, that you got to wipe everything down. Like you think you too good, right?" And so I just looked at her, and when I finished wiping it down, I looked around and I held up the piece of the wipe, and it was black. And her face went, "Oh." I mean, you know what I'm saying? She actually got it. Like, there's a reason I'm doing this. And then I just took my canister and handed it like, "Would you like to have one?" And sure enough, she went and got her one. So we've been living in a petri dish the whole time. We've been living, where we need to be wiping things down and watching the handles and the buttons and everything we touch. We need to be doing that all the time. So I think that,
I know where you are, I know where we are.
We need to
the rain and
I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Al? No, that was good. I was just apologizing for the internet problems. Al, what you think, man?
I just got to come in by first commenting on my sister Allison. She just for a moment, a flash, reminded me of my mother, my late mother, and anyone that knew Dot Taylor. When she's washing whatever she's doing, a cup, a top of bleach going everything. I'm telling you, it's going in the bleach water. It's going when she put the salt into some chicken. She hit a little bit of that. I was like, you know what? She was. Alan, you just took me there. Just like in all of this, it didn't cross my mind until you just broke it in right there. So bless you. Someone got it in the pocketbook. But I arrived
right,
late.
Because you don't even hear the word pocketbook, so there you go.
But
who says pocketbook?
Yeah.
And I would only want your pocketbook if you handed it to me by your own free will. But hold my pocketbook, not let me get your pocketbook, sister.
Right, you never went near the pocketbook.
Out the head and neck shoulder going for mama's pocketbook. And don't put it on the floor either. Ladies, holler at me if you know what I'm saying.
No.
It don't go on the floor.
No.
The floor and the bed better not. It better not touch. If it touch the floor, you touch the floor right behind it. You know what I'm saying?
You going there? You going straight down? You got knocked no. But listen, man.
And then you got to get that. Hey Al, you got to get that long whipping. I told you about putting my pocketbook on the floor. Acting like your father.
Didn't I tell you not to ever? I brought you in this
Beating for
world.
each word.
I will
Take you out.
Mama, please speak faster. Mama, speak faster.
Yes.
You're killing me.
Oh.
Oh man, only
Don't talk back and,
people-
like you said, Al. Don't talk back and say, please stop.
Old time.
Don't tell me when to stop whipping.
Did anybody ever hear the line?
Oh.
You done made me out of breath. You done made me tired.
Oh, yeah.
Because you wore them out. But you did that to yourself.
You could have
Bill.
stopped.
You didn't have to.
Hey, Allison. And shut up, I give you something to cry about.
Right, shut up.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Millennials don't understand this.
Ain't that something?
Oh.
We had to get in trouble. We had to get hit more because they got tired. We made them tired for whipping my behind. You know what I'm saying?
You done made me.
And then I'm supposed to say sorry.
Right.
You know, everybody, Real Talk Chronicles. These are the hosts of Real Talk Chronicles. I love it. I'm glad. I just wanted everybody to meet each other because everybody here is all over everywhere. And I just wanted everybody out there that supports us and listens to us and just helps us keep this going to meet all of you. And this was just one of the greatest days that I had. Opus. I have a question for all of you, and then I want what days you on and things of that magnitude. But I want. Can you hear me now? You got me?
Yeah, got you now.
Okay, good. My question to all of you, and I'll start with you, Pastor, is
Which pastor?
Yeah.
Well, when you're on Real Talk, how does it go? Does it go Assemblyman Pastor Al Taylor, or does it go Pastor Assemblyman?
Hey, Bill, it goes, don't call me late for dinner.
Oh, I appreciate it. That's
man.
oh.
Oh, man.
So
My bad.
I think he froze.
So my question
Yeah,
is,
Yeah, you got your 2G working today.
Oh, 2G.
Real, you
All
need
those
to
times
it's in the habit nervous. I tried to reboot it too. 2G. 2G, baby. Yeah, they can hear us now. They can hear us now. So my question is, before we go to a 1G, is what is it that you enjoy about what is it that you enjoy about being part of Real Talk, and what are you inspired to give the people, our listeners? So, Pastor, I'll start with you again. My question to everybody is, what do you enjoy about being part of Real Talk, and what are you inspired to give to the listeners that listen to us? I'll start with you, Pastor, and I'll go to Chuck, Allison, and Al. Well, matter of fact, I'll go Pastor, Al Taylor, Allison, and then Chuck. I'll switch it up. And then you. Go ahead.
I enjoy the transparency. I enjoy the fact that we can get together, we can laugh, and we can talk about real issues. And we don't have to worry about, although we're careful sometimes, about what we say, but for the most part, we do not have anyone watching over us and trying to control the conversation. That we can be open to talk about issues that ordinary people don't want to talk about, and our society doesn't want to talk about. So I appreciate number one, the transparency of Real Talk Chronicles, Bill. I appreciate the fact that we're evolving as well, and this is not boring. It's not like, okay, we'll talk about. We're constantly moving and evolving, and I really appreciate that. and we're moving with the times. And my contribution, I would hope, would be not just from a spiritual perspective, but one that people can tune in and they can really learn something. They can really glean and hear practical examples of how we live. I'll use my segment, for example. It is a spiritual segment, but at the same time, I want to be all things to all people, because there are people who don't know anything about religion or Jesus Christ or my faith. So what I attempt to do, and I certainly hope I'm doing it well, is to reach people from various backgrounds, to be able to speak life into them, to provide a practical expression of what it means to be a follower of Christ. And not just to speak the word, but to demonstrate the word, to be the word. And to, again, as I said, talk to people on the level in which they are able to comprehend. And I do share scriptures. I don't inundate people with scripture, but I am a man of God, so I do talk about the Bible quite often. But at the same time, for those who may be of a different faith, or who may even be an atheist, or just don't believe at all, they just don't believe in any sort of organized religion, that's fine. I want to be able to sit down and reason with folk and talk to them as a human being, and being able to relate with people from various backgrounds. I yield back.
Thank you. That's wonderful. Al?
Wow. 2 questions. I love the very fact, the title, the name says it all.
Right.
Real talk.
Yes,
and it's unscripted. So, we don't have to come in 45 minutes or hour before or day before, and this is what we're going to be chopping it up on. It is what it is. It's coming straight at you. It's kind of like, it's this thing that we use to make coffee, and you put it in, but you can't turn it up too high because you don't want it to cook too fast. You don't want the brew too fast because it's old when you got to clean the stove. But it comes in on a slow simmer, but before it's over, it's boiling. And I love it because it is, and it goes exactly where it goes. I want to say the audience, the participants that are online, they drive the narrative with their questions and curiosity. But the other side, what do I hope to leave, or what I hope that my heart? I want to be as transparent as possible. And like Pastor Kev said, my faith guides me. My faith directs me, and all that I do comes from that perspective. And faith without works is dead. So if you are whatever faith you're of, not at all, what drives you? Because your faith should show you are about something, whether I agree with it or not. What is it, and how does it inspire and motivate you to do what you do? So I hope when I'm finished on these conversations, wherever I'm at, that it's real talk. You heard my heart. Don't look at my title. Look at my heart. Was I transparent?
Right.
And if I don't know, like the last one, like, I don't know. Freely was like, you ought to know.
Yeah, exactly.
But you know what? It is what it is, and you have to be in there. And if everybody agrees with what you're doing, you need to get a new set of friends.
Absolutely. But you know what's so funny, Al? And then that was the epitome of what real talk was. The fact that you were able to say, I don't know. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah, exactly. And then you was like, well, I'll get it. And then Uncle was like, well, that's not a good answer. You know what I'm saying? But the beautiful thing,
he was really real. Uncle Willie said, listen, when you're going to be in these places if you're going to be that ambassador, even if it's a little A, you better be prepared. And I wasn't. And it wasn't because you said, well, Al, we're going to hit you with these questions. We're going to have this conversation. When you come into this space, everything is open and available to be discussed. But it was a learning curve for me, not just in this space, but wherever you're going to be a surrogate for somebody. If you're not ready to be in that role, then don't be that surrogate.
Yes.
So thank you so much.
And I think that's beautiful.
Keep it 100.
Yes, sir.
2G. It's happening.
You were
There he is.
I know it happens, Chuck.
It's all right, brother. I feel like you lucky Kevin's not on, because Kevin be.
Oh, all right.
Oh my God, Jesus
Tin
Christ!
cans and a string now. How about that?
Coming back. I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone, right? Like, oh my God. Let me tell you something. Let me find out. Real talk might have to just be done on sunny days. Now, you know what I'm saying?
Let me go up there and fix the solar panel. This might be a little crooked.
Oh man,
That's another show. But Allison, we're gonna go to you now. The beautiful thing about that is that I'm going to Allison and Chuck. For those that don't know, and for those that do know, Allison and Chuck have been in the house and seen it. Allison was there when it was conceived, so she was just talking, and we just decided that we were going to do this every month. And now that started in 2008, at the end of 2007 and the beginning of 2008. And we are still here with Real Talk. I took pain and me speaking caused me to for all of us. But then, the business aspect, it trickled in, didn't read your message. But Allison and Chuck, for you two, especially, I want to know what you give back to the people. Go ahead.
Just the fact that Real Talk got it start the way it did, it adds to how it affects you. Whenever we speak into the fact that we're still here doing this, and so it has that. It's a piece of nostalgia. It's a piece of something that you look at as being proud of being there from the very beginning and being a part of the cornerstone of what it was. I laugh to myself sometimes and I say, I think I started Real Talk because Bill says it's about talking. I don't never stop talking, so he probably was just trying to get a word in edgewise. I was cleaning and talking and the cleaning and the talking and the cleaning and the talking and the cleaning and the cleaning and the talking. I thought 5 other people in the room was listening. I was just talking and the cleaning and talking. And then he was probably like, Real Talk for real, Allison, Real Talk. So that's how it started.
Atmosphere, right? Atmosphere. For those that know, atmosphere.
For real talk. And I was just the only one talking. But what I'm glad about is to see that not only Bill, but everyone else involved has never let go of it, has never pushed it to the side, has never not made themselves available when the call went out. Let's go down. What was the restaurant on the east side? We was downstairs in the basement. We was filming it long before we had this box situation, and we did it there a few times, and we always there was always room and always time for Real Talk, and everybody made it clear that they were willing to do that. So I take away that I'm a part of something that has its roots well established and will always be Real Talk. There'll always be Real Talk, and I'll always be a part of it, and I'm always proud to be a part of it with all of you.
Thank you. And give
if you don't stop freezing,
some insight on your own about Allison.
I know it's not your fault, but it just looks like you just gotta.
Oh my God! It's hilarious. Definitely.
Is Miles sitting on a quarter? What's going on?
I don't know. Listen. It must gonna start to rain harder.
Hey, listen.
Yeah,
so we ain't gonna be on too long because I'm gonna get us out of here. Cause
I'm sitting on the porch.
You sitting on the porch
in Atlanta, in Atlanta, I just saw a whole full-on rainstorm just come past, so I know that y'all gonna have something going on.
Yeah, we have
It's
some
thunder and lightning and the whole bit, and I'm sitting out here watching it. But you the one freezing. I'm in the middle of the storm.
Yeah, I know when you see that lightning. I know when you see that lightning. I bet you take that ass in that house though.
Okay.
I'll be freezing, but you be in that house.
No, why? You see, when the lightning comes, you'll know because it'll be like this.
Like where?
All you gonna see is.
How are you, Gwen?
That's all you gonna have. You just gonna have paneling. That's all you gonna have.
Oh my God! Listen, everybody. Al, please introduce your wife to everybody.
She's fine.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, Gwen, what's going on, sis?
She doesn't know y'all can't hear her. So
I know. Tell her we said hi.
Hello, everyone. And
how you doing?
Malika be back when she come back and say hi to you. Oh my God.
She like that, but she got bleach and everything. She cleaning. This is pre-COVID. That's just her way. She sanitized the bus. I just got to repeat this because she didn't hear it. So we're talking about
that's all
lag, right?
You're supposed to.
We talk about the lag in the community. And so when you came to the spot, we was cracking up because Allison said she's sitting on a porch and she just seen in Atlanta and she just seen a rain cloud go by and she's ragging on Bill. But Bill say, hey, I bet lightning come by, you gonna get your up off that porch.
Yo, she'll be like this. She pack us.
So I don't know if Bill left it slow motion or he was just moving fast and it was freezing. So bye-bye, honey.
That's it.
That's
Suzanne, good night, Miss Felix. Thank you for chiming in. Chuck, we're gonna go to you before we get out of here, and then I think if Malika comes back, we'll ask her. But Chuck, you was in the house too. You were like the second tier after the Real Talk when the first tier, Allison and them was on the road and doing what they had to do. Because the one thing about Real Talk is evolved. It's always evolutional, and people have come and gone. I'll never forget one time before I let you go, Chuck, and say what you say. Is that later, 2 years later, and she was like, "Where's the Real Talk people?" I said, "Allison, they knew people. People got a lot of shit to say. We just can't wait for the old people. It's just new people." Yeah, because Allison was on the road. She up in Europe somewhere. And I can't wait till Allison come back. So I had to recruit. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead, Chuck. And Chuck, please. So,
oh man, brother, from day one when I came aboard, we were in your crib and we all like clustered together and we're sitting there, we're chatting, and we had a lot of real deep conversations, and it was just good and refreshing to see brothers and sisters be able to be in one environment and being able to voice their opinions. And even though they may have been opposing opinions, we all walked out of there respecting one another. We actually forged new relationships and new friends with people that we never would have met if it had not been for that forum, you know. And taking into consideration what all the other panel members said, I mean, it's generic, you know, it's organic, it's everything and anything you could think of. And what I'm hoping to do is just to put a human element to it. I mean, I was in law enforcement for 33 years. We just want to ensure that when we touch people, they let them know that everyone that's on this panel, regardless of our occupations, wherever our careers were, that we're human beings and we have souls, and that we want to be able to touch and reach people on that level. And you sometimes have to go to them. And this particular forum goes to the people exactly where it should be, which is to the street. And that's where people can understand and look at a pastor, an assemblyman, someone who's been known around the world in terms of music, someone's in law enforcement, that despite whatever we have done, that we are people, we are human beings, and we have souls, and we want to be able to touch people in some way on a very human level. You know.
Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate it. I just want to read what Miss Starling wrote. She said, Real Talk Chronicles has been talking real talk for so long with a consistent message, tender, and vibe that makes sense on so many levels. Drove all the way from New Jersey to New York to attend the live Real Talk event years ago. And 12 years later, I'm still following now from Florida. Great form. Love what Bill and Malika are doing to keep us engaged and involved. Thank you. Yes, you were. You came all the way from deep, I think it's mid Jersey somewhere. I appreciate you all. I thank you all. Pastor, everybody, Pastor, tell them what night you're on. Chuck, tell him what night you on. Allison, tell him what night you're on. Al Taylor, tell him what night you on. And we can also say good night in a minute, and then Pastor can close us out with prayer. I'll give a little closing remarks, but Pastor, let them know what your night is and things of that magnitude. And Chuck, Allison, and Al, go ahead. Mm-hmm.
I'm on Real Talk Chronicles every fourth Monday of each month from 7 until 8, maybe 8:30 p.m.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. And we have let them know it's a spiritual walk. I call it spiritual walk with Pastor Kevin Graves. But we talk about everything. And the only reason why we call it spiritual walk because he can give us some insight into a biblical place that I or maybe some of you can't go. So, a lot of you have reached back into your faith, and Pastor's not telling you what denomination to join and things of that magnitude. He's just telling you, giving you some insight. Because some of y'all hard-headed out there, y'all don't want to listen.
And I'm sure we were both hard-headed, right?
Yeah, well, that's why we're here now, because
Absolutely. And you know what? I'm glad you brought that up because I was not born this way. I was not born a pastor.
Right.
I was born a sinner. And each and every day, I asked the Lord, I said, Lord, help me each and every day to get through this day. Because there's going to be trials along the way. There's going to be somebody who's going to get on your last nerve. And I'm Bill, we keep it real.
Absolutely.
People who are going to try you. They're going to try to rise up. And you just, and turning the other cheek, as I shared on the program, the Lord is still working on me in certain areas. And I'm very transparent with regards to where I'm at right now. That I am still striving for spiritual maturity, still learning, still growing. I have not been perfected yet. I'm not in my glorified state. So, so I just wanted to share that as well. And then again, thank you for allowing me to be a part of your vision as well as Malika's vision as well, Bill. Anybody?
Absolutely. And Pastor, after Al Taylor goes, you're gonna close us out in prayer. Go ahead, Chuck.
I usually rock with Bill on Wednesday nights from 7 o'clock until God knows when we get off, because sometimes we go to 9:30, quarter to 10. Who knows when we get off?
I try to say 9 o'clock for everybody. I know, but Real Talk, you can't put a time on Real Talk. That's a beautiful thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the conversations that we have, and it's very, like I said, it's very generic. It's right off the top. And it's something where we put out 1 or 2 topics, and then it just grows from there, brother. We just go all places. We go down all types of tunnels and through all types of caverns. Before we know it, it's 9:30.
Oh, kid, who you telling? Hey, Chuck, did we get confirmation on a young man for Wednesday, or you don't know yet?
I'm going to speak to them today. But I think we'll have them for Wednesday.
Good. And that's the one thing I do. I employ everybody from my standpoint. Being the pyramid of this, I employ all my hosts to bring their own energy. And if they want to interview somebody, this is what we do. We have people from all walks of life. We have political, we have spiritual, Chuck, law enforcement, but he loves music too. And I mean, everybody here is multi-talented. And Allison, she's multi-talented from designing, interior design and stuff like that. I never forget how Gloria Ryan was always saying that she fixed my whole crib up at that time. So Allison, tell them your nights and tell them what you want to bring to the table, sis. Go ahead.
I am honored to be a part of Real Talk Chronicles on the 3rd Monday of every month. This month, that will be the 19th of July. Right. And what Bill allows me to bring is an eclectic mix. Sometimes it's about music and the arts and the thing that I'm most immersed in, but we go from there beyond, you know what I mean? And he allows me to bring in different guests from different walks, and we mix it up, and we talk about everything, and we do it from 7 p.m. until, like Chuck says, God knows when we get free.
Exactly.
Do the cows come home or the cops come knocking? I don't know.
Absolutely. Al, tell them what night you on, Assemblyman Al Taylor, please. Go ahead.
Man, it must be the music. I'm listening to Allison Williams, and I'm thinking about Rocky Park, doing it in the dark, doing it after, doing it in the park, doing it after dark. And that's just the longest record. And you don't know when it's gonna end. So,
and you know what's funny? Funny for transparency, everybody. Listen, I got a bunch of co-hosts that'll be like, yo, well, I can only be on for an hour and a half. I can only be on for an hour. I'll be like, okay, well, just come on. You know what I'm saying? Let's just have really shit. Yeah, if you come on without telling me what time you got to be off, we can start talking now. Go ahead, Al.
Yo, that is true. We had a host. We had someone join us one night, and their campaign manager was blowing up my phone like, "Yo, let him go now." And I don't watch my phone, so it was like 40 minutes after they texted me, and he was like, "Oh, he gotta go." We didn't know.
But you come on, real talk for him. You gotta go. And shout out to him. Congratulations to our boy Alvin Bragg for winning. Absolutely, he's going to do great. Oh, absolutely, baby. Yeah.
Hey, Pastor Kev, this like going to church. We're gonna be in and out like Bible says. You got caught up in the church, baby. When you get in here, it start at one time, and you don't know when the preacher gonna sit down. And then, I just gotta have one more thing before we take our seat. We got one burning. Sit yourself down. No, I am here. That the first Monday of every month at 7 p.m. when the good Lord turn off the light. But we try to bring it in around 8 o'clock, which at 9 o'clock we can lay that plane down. But join us the first Monday of every month, 7 p.m. And I just enjoy rocking with this wonderful icon of a family. They're that people. So we're here. But I believe God, greater things are going to happen for this couple and what you're bringing to the table. You can believe that.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that. And sweetheart, before we get out of here, thank you. Before we get out of here, what does Real Talk do for you? What does it mean to you? Because you can tell them what you had. If you want to tell them what you had.
So
I'm sorry.
That's okay. So yeah, Bill Foster. Oh my God. Oh my God.
There you go.
Oh,
right around the finger. Right around.
Oh man.
They go
Don't
together
mess with Bill.
So, you know.
Uh-oh.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, a gazillion, billion, trillion,
exactly.
percent. I have your back. I'm always going to be by your side. But, I do that not because you're my husband, but because I truly believe in you. I believe in Real Talk Chronicles.
Right.
And, like Mark Rose said earlier, a lot of the conspiracy theorists are just hard to sway people in the wrong direction, and strong people who are passionate about their fields and to help us deliver positive information and positive messages out. And I think we need more of that, a whole lot more. So I truly love the team that you have built, and I'm looking forward to helping you grow it as much as possible.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
He's so mushy. I love it.
Before we get out of here, I just wanted you all to.
Yes.
Thank you. I appreciate that. That means the world to me.
Yes, you are.
Oh my God.
Allison off the hook.
Okay.
Listen, yo, Malika told me to tell you when we was offline. She said, "Tell Gwen."
Tell Gwen I said hi.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry I missed her out.
And I just wanted to tell you all,
Hey,
you
Gwen.
all help. You all enhance what I'm trying to bring and give to people. You all have different vast knowledges of so many different things. You're just not one dimensional. And I just think together collectively, Allison, I told her from the conception that we was going to, no matter when and how, I was going to bring her back. And I told her, and she said to me one day, she was like, "Yo, thank you." And I said, "Allison, I told you, anybody, for all that know, I'm a man of my word." And she's been by my side, and all of you have joined on, and wanted to, and whatever vision you see that I have, you're feeling that you can help enhance it. So I appreciate that, and I just wanted to publicly thank you, real talk. And I wanted you all to see each other. I don't know when we'll do this again, because a lot of times everybody's schedule is so complicated, and you allotted your time for your own days. Chuck is with me every Wednesday, but for all you all who have your special days, but then you took the time out today to come here. And I was kind of like, I went CEO, like, come on, like, yo, I need you to be here on this day kind of thing. It's hard to be CEO. Yeah. It's hard to be CEO when you ain't paying nobody. It's hard to boss you out.
Hey, listen, when he goes CEO, he sends an emoji that goes like this. Emoji?
Yeah.
Send me a boss emoji? Really? Where you at?
I caught feelings. I said over the like.
Don't forget about Monday night.
Yeah, I know you didn't send me the where you at emoji.
He sent me one. Yeah.
No representative.
Everybody, that's
love y'all.
fantastic. Today with Kevin Ramsey early. I got Allison Williams. She's the third Monday of every month. We got Assemblyman Al Taylor, Assemblyman Reverend Assemblyman. But that's Al Taylor. How about that, right? I got Malika Foster, always on my back with me, holding me down. And Pastor, this is real talk, yes, everybody. Pastor Graves, yes, you want to
1 second. So, Allison, I just heard that you're going to be at the Sugar Bar Thursday. Tell us about it.
Well, the Sugar Bar is an incredible venue on the Upper West Side, Ashford and Simpson Sugar Bar, and we have been. They've always been there for great music and great food and what have you. But on Thursdays, we've done the Sugar Bar open mic every Thursday for over 20 years now. And Valerie Simpson thought that it was very important to bring it back on a virtual platform back in June when we were in the height of COVID. We set it up on Facebook Live. Now that we're coming out of it to a certain extent, or things are opening up a little bit, the restaurant obviously has its open air seating, or as I like to call it, eating the street. So they have their box out there. And then they also are letting a certain limited amount make reservations for indoor dining, and that's inclusive of the Thursday night. We do it virtually as well as in the club. I'm going to be in New York this week, so I'm going to host on Thursday. As a matter of fact, let me just do a gratuitous plug. If you all are going to be in the West Orange, New Jersey area on Wednesday, you need to come out to 350 Grill. And that's in West Orange, and we're starting a new thing called Wine, W-I-N-E, Wine Down Wednesdays with Miss China Black. You can find China Black online, and all information is there. You can find it on Instagram. I have the poster up. Thursday, I will then be at the Sugar Bar, hosting from 8 o'clock till 10, but you can catch it Facebook Live. If you're looking to score a reservation, come on through. We start at 8 o'clock. You never know who's going to drop by. I'll be hosting. Valerie will be there. The band will be there. And on Saturday, I'll be in Queens for the St. Albans Jazz Festival Norman Connors with Marvin Hicks, Allison Williams, and Angie Stone. And that's out in Queens and St. Albans. And if you come, like I said, to my IG, Allison Williams Music, you'll see the information, Allison Williams Music on Facebook. You'll see the flyers and what have you. So I'm going to be in New York and for a limited amount of time.
Hey, Allison, matter of fact, also, too, we'll try to catch up. Malika and I try to catch up with you Friday if you're around. We'll talk offline. But you have an album out now, too, don't you? Another album?
Single. We're trying to finish the CD. It's called Summer Nights in Harlem, and this is called the Summer Nights Tour. So of the 100 nights you get every summer, spend those summer nights with Allison Williams with Summer Nights in Harlem.
Right.
Nice. Outstanding.
It's available on all platforms, and it's my jazz project. So for those who are diehard Allison Williams R&B fans, you're going to be very pleased and surprised at what I have with this.
Nice.
Awesome. Chuck,
Wow.
Is there anything that you want to promote? I know you're working around with a lot of different artists and other things and people, in different aspects. Is there anybody that you want to plug or promote right now?
Well, right now we're just trying to get everything back over into Brooklyn at the Bedford Manor. So we're trying to figure out exactly logistically how we can get our artists to come back that's more comfortable. They all want to do it. Everyone wants to go back to the stage. So it's just a matter of trying to get the schedule. But once I get something that's concrete, I'll definitely let you know.
Pastor Kevin Graves, if people want any kind of personal guidance or talk with you, or where can they hear you preach if that's available now?
Well, you can find, excuse me, you can find me on Facebook, Kevin Graves, Graves, on Facebook.
Give us.
I'm sorry, go ahead. We lost. Well, my church.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
My
My G's were acting.
Yeah, that's okay. Well, you can find me on Facebook under Kevin Graves.
Okay.
My church is Christ Community Church of Harlem. We're at West 128th Street between 5th and Lenox Avenue. Sunday service starts at 10 a.m.
Awesome. Thank you.
Virtual as well as in person.
Has church opened up for you guys? Is it back open? Pastor, is it back open?
Oh, yes, yeah. But what
Okay.
we're doing in-person meeting, and we're also doing we also are on Facebook as well. Yes.
Awesome. Assemblyman Al Taylor, Assemblyman Reverend Pastor Al Taylor. you got a lot of titles, brother. So listen, first and foremost, talk about your church. Talk about if somebody wants to hear the word from Reverend Al Taylor, and then give us a little brief synopsis on the political world real quick. Eric Adams won the Democratic primary. He's going against Curtis Lewa. What's happening with the government, the governor? What's happening with the president? Anything that you want to share with us? Everybody, if you want to tune into Al Taylor giving us his insight, Assemblyman Al Taylor, just give us all you got.
Okay, real quick. No, we're not open yet, but Sundays we're live at 11 o'clock a.m. on Facebook. Go to Meet, YouTube, IG, fam. We have prayer 3 times a day, 6:30 to 7, noon to 12:30, and 8 to 8:30, 3 times Monday through Friday. You could dial in and jump on that. My office is open 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10 to 4 a.m. 212-234-1430. And we are still cognizant of the fact that everybody has not been vaccinated, and some people just want to be a little bit more cautious. So we have that. I just want to do a plug for my son. He's going to be at Kalahari, and that's this Sunday at noon, and it's called Voyage Society. So VORGED, there are going to be probably about 1,000 people there for the event. And right now it looks like 450 cars are already tuned in. So he does car shows, and it's just amazing. If you're in the neighborhood, come on by. We like to see some grown folks, because there's a lot of these young folks. I tell people that I'm working with my son. I work for my son, so he won't put me in a nursing home when I get older. I'm paying it forward. I want to sit on a porch like Allison, but let me sit over there. I just got to do right by him. If anybody wants to have their vehicle wrapped he has something called urban vinyl, and they will wrap your car. So if you want your face on your car, you want a different color on your car, he does those things. We're so proud of him. He's a Penn State grad doing his thing. Now, in the political world, it's more dicey than all of those things I just said. Wes, congratulations. We have a new mayor. Congratulations. We have the first Manhattan District Attorney, Black. Super kudos. So out of 4 folks, I lost 1 race. So I got 3 right, 1 wrong. But it is what it is. New York is at a place where so much can happen. I would employ everyone to get off the sidelines and become a participant in the process. From the time you're born to the time you die, your life is literally. People are making decisions about it. Get in it and stop sitting on the side talking about it. Be a part of the process, and whatever it looks like. If you don't like something, talk about it. If you want to see a change, then be about change. But we have an exciting year coming up. There's a lot to happen. I don't have an election for myself this year. But like Kev, I believe in Jesus the Christ first and foremost. I would encourage all of us to spend time praying and devotion time whenever and where we can. Give God the first thing in the morning before it gets really crazy. It's just been, I came off a retreat of fasting. My wife and I did the whole month of June. We would just not have meals until after 6 o'clock, but spend that time praying and just reconnecting yourself to what the Creator wants for you. Just so awesome.
You didn't have any pork chops?
Well, I'm trying to finish my documentary. When I walked to Chicago,
You cheated Gwen out a lamb chop sandwich? What is that? You didn't give Gwen a lamb chop sandwich? Lamb chop sandwich?
No, I gave her a pig foot, no. That's right, baby. My wife is South Carolina.
Oh my God.
That was a joke. I did not do that.
She didn't hear.
As everybody out there, you can tell them Real Talk Land, we have humor.
Yes.
Everybody, this is Real Talk Chronicles. Pastor Kevin Graves, can you take us out, Pastor?
Absolutely. Does anyone remember before I pray? Does anyone remember Tony Brown's Journal? Used to come on Saturday morning.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
I love that program. My mother and me would watch that program every Saturday morning, and just get educated on what's going on in our community and also the world as well. I never forget that program. So this is the 21st century Tony Brown's Journal. How about that?
Hey.
Real talk. Okay. Some life into
Real Talk.
advancement of Real Talk Chronicles. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this opportunity to come before you, to reminisce, to also to elevate, and to give thanks for what you're doing on Real Talk Chronicles. Lord, thank you for Malika. Thank you for Bill. I thank you for Chuck and Allison and Assemblyman Pastor Al Taylor. Thank you for Kevin Branzetti. I thank you for Dr. Corder and for what you're doing in their lives, Lord. Lord, be glorified. Be glorified on Real Talk Chronicles. Use us, Lord. Take us higher, deeper into the things concerning your kingdom, Lord. Give us a heart for people. Give us a heart for those that feel they don't have a voice. Give us a heart, Lord, for community, for members of the community who feel as if they have been forgotten, who feel as if no one is paying attention to them. Lord, let us be that listening ear. Let us embrace those in our community, those around us who are broken, who feel hopeless, who feel fearful, Lord. We pray that, Lord, we can be a voice crying in the wilderness to those who tune in to Real Talk Chronicles. We thank you for those who have taken time out of their schedule to listen into Real Talk Chronicles. And we ask that, Lord, you would continue to manifest your presence, that you would continue to have your way, that you would open the spiritual eye and ear gates of those who are tuning in. And Lord, continue to use us as we go forward in spirit and in truth. Let your kingdom come. and let your mission statement and your vision statement be fulfilled on Real Talk Chronicles. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 Amen. Thank you, guys.
Amen.
Everybody. Real Talk team, make
Amen.
sure y'all share it. Go to the, like everybody. We'll see you this Wednesday with Chuck and Kevin. Everybody tune into your favorite Real Talk host. Questions and statements and comments you want us to talk about. We're all interchangeable. We talk about anything and everything. On behalf of Malika, Pastor Kevin Graves, Chuck Richards, Allison Williams, and Assemblyman Al Taylor, I'm the host, Bill Forster. This is Real Talk. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. God bless.
Bye, everybody.